I am just setting up some links and here. Get a few people. Oh, there we go. Studio. Dumb. That is hilarious. Hey, how you guys doing? If somebody's in chat and I missed you here, I'm just better. All right, so this is my actually I just realized. Oh. So this I'm up. Well, it figures it'd be a wicked early Sunday morning crapshoot to try and get this run right. But we're up, so I don't. Is it? Go. So my Hangout's live. Everything's live. Life's so much easier that way. There we go. See if we can. Sure we will. I usually get a few. We just seem to like coming here. Guess I gotta. All right. Where's my? That'll help. All right. Rock and roll. There we go. All right. I got everything up and running. Wow. Complicated affair that was this morning. So, it only took 5 minutes of my intro time. So I have an off topic of discussion today with 3 things. If you had to do it again, there was a crash or you just had the opportunity or whatever the case may be, the what if situation, I guess, is where we're at today. But we'll see what we get. We'll see who we get in. I got a feeling I know the answer for people. It'd be interesting to see, though. And I'm sure we'll get way off topic, because we always do. Got 2 people watching. Well, Shaw, go ahead. Say hello. On here. Morning, Melanie. How are you? Up bright and early on a Sunday morning, aren't you? 7 o'clock? Hey, what's going on, Phil? Morning, Tim. Yeah, I had a really inauspicious start to my stream today. Everything just, it worked, but everything was kind of acting weird, and I had to jump around and started 2 videos. I was like, alright, that's awesome. Way to go, YouTube. Way to raise the bar. So, I have some ambitious plans, but I'm gonna have funds. I've had one, and I'm gonna go get my second cup and probably kill my child because he thinks that drinking the last cup of coffee is. Speaking of that, I'm gonna go get that cup of coffee. And I have returned. I don't know. If it is choppy, let me know. Anyone else? Could be my audio. I've got a noise gate on my mic, actually, so. Bioballs. What kind of did you add? That's a better question. Plastic ones, marine pure, Brightwell Aquatics. Not your Wi-Fi in your gym, Phil. Okay. Really, no. There's nothing to really do. They're going to be extremely brittle. The one thing I have noticed about it is that they tend to break apart very easily, and once they're wet, even more so. Um, so I'd be very gentle with any cleaning you do. You know, make sure that the pieces don't drop off. You're going to just wind up with a bunch of sand at the bottom from. Um, that being said, there is a new product called MaxSpect Biospheres that have even more surface area and are much less prone to the dusty fine issue. But Marine Pure is great. I mean, I stand behind it 100%. I use it, so. But when I have access to something better, I will be using it. Oh, coffee. They go better. All right. Yep, exactly. Just gotta blow them off, be gentle with them, and phrasing. But yeah, so just gotta be gentle with them. And if you did add them, did you add any bacteria at all, Mel, when you added them? It's not an imperative that you did, but it would have been. It helps them because it would have been fresh bacteria, so to speak. So. So I guess we got 4 people in here, so why don't we also, while we get at it, get to the topic that I kind of had this morning. If you had to do it again with a reef tank, would you? Oh, that's all right, Bees. That's no, I couldn't be here earlier. Bees, sorry, man. I have to keep the wife happy with this too, right? So, like she said, I work today. Do your streaming while I'm at work. I'm okay. I said, what if it goes long? She goes, I don't care, but just don't do it in the morning. Okay. Got to keep the wife, significant other, happy. Yeah, I noticed that too, Phil. You're absolutely right. The blocks, I've got the block, and the block, I mean, I cut it in half so I could put 2 different tanks. And I did notice it just was a lot softer than the balls. Oh, you're about the same length time as me. There was somebody I was speaking to, um, and they're done, right? They went through a tank crash. They're just done, right? So all their stuff's going up for sale, um, blah blah blah, right? And it's because I think it really depends, I guess, on our experience in the hobby, not how we do things, but what we've experienced, being a better term, right? If you've gone through nothing but hell from start to finish, seems like you're always in an uphill battle. The daily grind of doing a tank, and there isn't a lot to it. Let's be honest. Once you kind of get things going, there isn't. But some people, people are people, right? And that was going to be my other part of my question, Phil. You did that for me. So if you did it, what would you do different? You had to start over. So yeah, I mean that's an interesting, thought. Um, I would, but I'm crazy anyway, so I'm kind of a glutton for punishment. I will do it till I get it right. Um, Workout done. Can't beat that, man. Is your workout like mine? It involves smoking a cigarette, lifting a coffee, possibly eating a donut? Yeah, see, that's exactly it. No, exactly it, right? So you had a Fowler, everything kind of leveled off for you, and then you felt more confident to go in. Hey, what's going on, Mad Dog? So I'm kind of leaning, possibly doing that with my 120. Just cleaning it out, take the corals that are in there out, put them into my 20, deal with this 20. bringing everything back to health. So. Okay. Yeah. So, wow, I'm just distracted today. Sorry, guys. The new drugs are a little weird. So, I'm almost hyper aware of noises in the background and they're bothering me. So I have to. What's going on, Rob? So, yeah, it is. It's an interesting question. I'll get a few more people into the hangout here with me at some point too, and we'll kind of really dig at it. And I'm sure we'll get into lots of stuff today. I'm just thrilled with that 20. That 20 is really humming along, guys. Corals are like. Did anybody catch Mass Aquarium's stream last night? The 30-second delay is killing me. I'm actually going to be working with a buddy some more to do some more neat stuff in here. Up to if so when you watch it, you're going to notice there is a similarity between what we do in in the reef community and what the planted guys do, because they're almost as complicated a process and not complicated. So it really depends what you're putting in your tank, how well that's going to do, what equipment you need to make that survive, and it's the same thing with coral. It's very similar because you can look at corals like plants because they technically are, but they're also an animal, right? So kind of a weird. It was just really interesting to see the similarity between the two. So I'm going to pop a link. Anybody does want to get in, go ahead. Oh yeah, no bees, man. By all means, yeah, do something like that. It's anything to do with information on this hobby. The thing is to disseminate what you're getting, right? I always try to make sure that whatever we're talking about in here, if somebody did have a specific question, to kind of lean it that way, that they got their answer or have a better understanding of what they asked, maybe. Now, are you doing it, bees, from the point of view like you're trying to get a harlequin tusk and you can't get one, or you're trying to get a yellow and gold Euphyllia, that kind of thing? And yep, Tim, not being subscribed does make a difference. Yeah. Yeah, that's just it, eh? Everyone tells me to do that. I have a real issue with that, guys. um, actually, RCW, Paul, Reef Community Worldwide, actually donated to my channel yesterday. Was passing the love along. He had a wicked day. Thursday, I want to say. Over $1,000, which is like excellent. Good for him. So now he's going to get himself a new ATO for his new sump setup, which is kind of cool. So we'll all get to see that as it comes along. Ah, get those early morning sniffles out of the way, my allergies. So, anybody got any other topics of discussion? Only 5 years, and we already kind of talked about it. Nobody else besides Mel really has anything to say about it. So, what do you got to say? Let's get quibbling. He's going to get the smart micro ATO. He's going to get. Morning, Lisa. Oh, sweet. Nice piece. Make sure once you got yourself ready to go that you're in here with the rest of us, and any of our streams we're all pretty good about. Post that up, get it up there, get it out there for people to see. Ooh. I'm gonna pick on Lisa. Is everybody ready? So Lisa, have you made a decision? Are you gonna do the 75 and move the cichlids over, sell off the other fish, or are you just gonna do your 40? Because I will tell you, honestly, there's not a lot to have difference-wise between the two. The bigger thing is that the 75 is going to give you a lot more room. Tina's tank's a 75, which you probably already know. And it will give you a little more room to work with, and it's an easier layout to work with. And that AquaClear 70 I sent you, and that skimmer that Jeff is sending you, will work perfectly on that. All right, bees. And then a second part of that question, you're talking. You said you noticed lifting in the 40. How old is that 40? Sorry guys. As I fight with everything around my desk. Gonna do the 40 for sure? Yeah. When are you gonna reseal it? Inquiring minds want to know. Yeah, that Blendy's starting to not have a lot of stuff to feed on that tank. Watch him like a hawk. Okay. No, you know what? That's a good age for a reseal. We always say 10 years on average, so. Yeah, not a bad idea at all. And I'm sure you've got experience resealing tanks. Yeah, exactly, Mel. Then she won't have to worry about it, right? You can reseal it, give it, 4 or 5 days to fully cure, and then just run it, and away you go. Just never an aquarium. Tons of videos on doing it. I would highly recommend the tape method. If you don't know what that is, when you look up, setting it up and doing your reseal, it's what you're going to do is strip the inside and just reseal the inside, correct? Yeah, exactly what I was thinking, Mel. She already knows how to do it. Yeah, so when you do it, there's a method where you take painter's tape, and I'm sure you're aware of it, but I think I'll just bring it up to bring it up. And just, it'll let you do a cleaner look. So if you want to go get black silicone, Aqueon makes a nice cheap ones, $20. Completely aquarium safe. It's easy enough to get. I would imagine Big Owls has them, and you can also use the Marina. They're both pretty good. I like the Aqueon a bit better. I found it a bit tackier right away. Uh, yeah, this one will be too. But if you do it right the first time, I like to, as any kind of project is, when you smooth out your stuff and you lift the tape, it leaves that nice perfect line, so that you can never ever ever complain about your lines, right? Saying. Nice to see you back, bees. You having a busy day, Lisa? You want to hop into the hangout? Love to discuss your setup. My nice new fancy look. Bees at work. That's all right. That's all right, bees. How do you mean bees? Like you're on your phone, people just walking by talking, hey, everybody, blah, blah, blah. When you say you want to redo the black, here you go. Well, you probably already have the link, but I'll pop it again. Well, I'm doing a longer haul today. I don't know how long. We'll see. Um, oh, come on, Tim. We all complain about something in our tanks that we did wrong. Oh man, I tore up my sump that I just built because it wasn't exactly what I wanted. And when I say that, we're talking a few mils off. And I said, you know what, and just tore it down. I left my weir baffles at the end, and just, yeah, I built a cage. I did, I'll show my sump in detail at some point, the one that's below this tank that's showing, and it works out really well. Um, Actually, it's worked out incredibly well thus far. So I'm wondering if I got any life in there yet. Can't wait. I did dump a full bottle of ticker pods in there, so see if they get their act together and get growing in there and help with the sumps cleanup. And other than that, I'm not sure, and I might actually. Oh, now you guys got me thinking. Do I put in that other sheet? Have glass. I think I'm short on silicone. Might or might not be. Gotcha. No, 4 ppm is not high at all. The link's not working. I'll send it to you direct. It's probably just one of those welcome to the hangout issues. Oh, you know what? Try this. Send it off if I have to as well, but. Try that one, Lisa, and see if it works for you. It is an off-air room. We're off-air. All right, so it's on air, but it's off-air. Don't be confused. Trust me. A little bit of an issue with this OBS, that there's no other way to get controls except for me to actually start it in one spot, stop it, and then bring this up, and that way I have the controls in the room. Because if we ever did get somebody who was nasty or trying to show something, 0.09, you're right on target. You're coming down nicely, Mel. Mine would scare you. I think my phosphates were 0.25 last time I tested, and that was in this tank right here. So, but in my big tank, I think they're nope. Okay, I'll send you off a direct link. So, I'm gonna hide the hangout for a sec, folks, because I'm able to see any information. That's been sent, Lisa, I believe. Should get it shortly. There we go. So, yeah, yeehaw, folks. We'll get some more people. We'll get our quibble on. Listen to my cats whine to get in my son's room. That's fun. There you go.
Yeah, you kept taking me to an empty room. I was like, what is happening?
Yeah, what's going on? Yeah, you know, that Craig's having fun at me.
Like, I just literally woke up because I was up so late last night.
There was a lot going on last night, in all honesty. A lot of people were streaming. You know, well, Malev was streaming. I'm going to assume Rico was. He generally is. Yeah. You got Mass had one last night with George Farmer. You saw that one. I know you did.
Yeah. You know, that was awesome. I love George Farmer. Like, love him.
Oh, I would imagine. Same with that ADU. He's another one. I find that stuff interesting. Like, don't get me wrong. I'm not a freshwater, racist. You know what I mean?
No,
but,
not at all. How can you not enjoy the beauty of what they create?
Right. It's just not my thing, right? You know, it's like I try and explain that to people. It's more what your preference is where you'll go. I know people who keep both.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. And a friend of mine said, why don't you? And I said, because that just would piss me off to no end. Because I could forget something, cross-contaminate, do all... I got enough on my plate with my tanks to not have to worry about that part. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yes.
Yeah. So...
your tanks are coming along so nicely.
Well, that 120's proven that wrong, but I know what's going on. Yeah, the 120... I'm getting a diatom outbreak again, so I'm going through old tank syndrome without it being an old tank. So what's going on is my nutrient levels in the sand, I think, are excessive. So me and the wife were talking about what we're going to do. And I said, well, we got that big tube. We got the big tube that we have for cleaning out. I said, what we could do is do up 30, 40 gallons. And she goes, maybe 60. I said, yeah, probably 60 be better. Have it all ready to go, have it heated. And then I'll empty out the sand that's there right up to the rocks. And once I do that, then I'll add the sand again, and I'll add it in batches.
Yeah.
And it's not hard, but you're talking, I'd have to have a fundraiser on here to get that, because we're talking probably 3 to 4 bags of Fiji to get it done, right? Because it's a 120, right? And then I'm like, well, but once I empty it, go ahead.
How are you going to get monetized? You have watch hours, guaranteed.
I've got the watch hours.
Though, right?
Oh yeah, I got that, but I need the subs, exactly.
Okay, all right.
Yeah. And you're going to hear me yell, nobody else is, so just 1 second here.
The dad voice.
He, my female cat, for all that don't know, will stand at my son's door and meow incessantly until he opens it up.
Oh.
Period. Right, and it's really long, really let me in meows, right? So.
I used to have a cat just like Garfield. His name was Murphy.
Mm-hmm.
And he was the best cat ever. He's just like Garfield. Anything to do with pasta, he'd jump up on your plate and steal it.
Oh, my that young male of ours, he's just turned into that kind of cat. Like, there was a piece of pork, I think, sitting on the plate, and he's so into getting caught. Instead of grabbing it and running off somewhere with it, no, he runs right next to my bed, and I'm like, what do you got? Oh, really? So. My other male cat's just as bad. Chicken. All about chicken for him, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
So the two of them, but they broke. Tom sent me some mugs, right? My saltwater journey.
Yeah.
And I had used one that was in my room. Like today, I will be honest, guys, and anybody who's British is going to know what the heck I'm talking about. I recorded the F1. Do not talk about F1 in here. I have not watched the race yet. Don't want to know nothing. Don't. I'll be so pissed. It's not even funny. But I've got it recorded and I'll watch it later. Well, that's what I was doing for the Bahrain Grand Prix. And I was in here, started streaming, and I heard this loud, horrendous smash. And I'm like, oh, what did they do now? And that older male, Jinx, my big gray Russian blue, he decided that he wanted the piece of chicken he had already stolen and left that I had put in the bowl to take out, right? And it came down on top of the glass from Tom, the mug.
Oh, no.
Yeah, so I fixed it. I mean, it works. It's okay, but I wouldn't trust it with hot coffee for very long.
Yeah, there's this new trend, though. If you put a goldish glue in the cracks of it, that's like, people are buying those mugs for like $100, just so you know.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Tom could be on something.
Break all those mugs and gold seal them, yeah.
Yeah.
Everyone would be like, oh, it's patina. The minute I hear somebody say that, I'm like, so you like old shit, huh?
Yeah.
Right.
I have this old, like, luggage trunk type thing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm into antiques, too, but it's like, I don't have, like, I have some pieces of antiques. But this trunk, it's useless to me, really. Like, I love the way it looks and everything, but I really wanted to put like blankets and pillows inside of it just to display. Like, it's cute, but it stinks like mothballs. So it just sits there.
It will. Yeah, and you'll never get rid of that either.
Right?
No, you'll never get rid of that. No.
My grandmother's attic.
So you're gonna reseal this 40. Yeah. And the tape trick. Have you ever seen what I'm talking about?
I have.
Okay.
I actually have seen what you're talking about, and I wouldn't, I didn't even think about that because I was like, maybe I should just get clear because I don't want a mess, right? That's right. But I didn't like, now that you re-mentioned that, that's a great idea.
So the way to do it, and the way when I did it, and I did it on a 10, a 20, and I've done a 40. And I actually got 4 stitches in my hand from doing the 40. I was cutting the tank apart so we'd reseal the entire tank, even the injection moldings. Right, we were redoing the whole thing, and I was trying to be safe, and I ended up jamming a brand new razor blade right into my knuckle.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, 4 stitches later, and back doing it after I got back from the hospital. So yeah, my wife just thought that was hilarious. She goes, "You cut yourself, you get stitches, your hand's still somewhat frozen. What are you doing? Cutting that tank apart."
Cutting it,
yeah.
Cutting it again.
So, but yeah, so the trick to it is, you do your bottom. Right, so that you have your perfect rectangle, or in your case, what's going to be difficult, get the more pliable tape, right? Right, because you got that bow front.
Yeah.
So the bottom's going to be a little more difficult to get it, but remember, you're never going to see that. That's going to be under the sand, so you don't have to go too crazy here, right? But just take your time and lay it out so you have the basic shape, but in about a centimeter, or out, I should say, from the edge, and then do.
Yeah, okay.
Right, so then you do your bottom, and the trick to the bottom is you have to do each panel coming from the top. Yeah. So come down, then across, and then back up, and do that for the back, then the sides, then the bow front. And remember, the bow front's going to be easy for that because you're just going straight along that bow front, right?
Yeah.
Following the curve. Go ahead.
The bead that they have in there now, it's probably, I would say, 2 centimeters wide on the bottom.
Yep.
Not clean by any means. Like whoever did this was a mess. There's little grooves where sand, I guess, could like has gone in,
Yep.
and like it's terrible. I'm gonna make sure that those corners are as smooth as I can get them
Oh,
because
you'll
I don't.
cry. You'll cry.
Oh, jeez.
You'll cry. It's a heck of a technique. I don't even have it down perfect for doing the corners. All I can say is this: get yourself good stuff. Aqueon is a
Yeah.
really good black silicone. Um, and when you go to do it, make sure you have that tape job perfect. Because what you're going to do is run your silicone, and then so run the whole bottom, right? And don't worry
Yeah.
about too much. As long as you buy wide enough tape, you can clean it up,
Yeah.
right? Have lots of paper towel. Lots of paper
Right.
towel.
I remember there's one time I resealed my bathtub.
Yep.
Oh, what a disaster.
Yeah.
I was getting that shit everywhere.
Everywhere. The first
Yeah.
time you do it and you play with it, you're like, why is it sticking to me? And it's like, next time, lick your finger before you start running it. And somebody's like,
Oh,
what?
man.
Yeah. Just give it a little lick and run it, right? Because
Yeah.
it keeps it from sticking to you, right?
Mhm.
And just get that excess off. And then right away, almost literally right away, do your corners all the way up.
Yeah.
And when you run from the bottom. So kind of, because it lets your finger naturally make that kind of rounded dent we want in the corner.
Yeah, the divot,
Right?
right?
And then
Exactly.
up you go and take the excess, wipe it off, go to the next one, do them all. And then once you think you got it done, you're going to give it about, I think it's about 10 to 15 minutes. Go remove all the tape slowly. And when you pull the
Okay.
tape, pull it away from the seam,
Yeah.
right? Not
Okay.
against it. And have a
Yeah.
knife ready, just in case it's starting to cure quick, right? Because some will cure faster than others because of how thick it is, right? So
Mhm.
the really thin stuff tends to cure in minutes, right?
See,
Shoop, it's dry, right?
you like honestly, thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
Right? Like you're just putting more common sense into my head
Yeah.
right now.
Well, it's really funny. I said to my wife, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just flying by the seat of my pants. And she goes, "You're so full of shit." I went, "What?" And she goes, "All you did was dick around with tanks for the first year and a half." She goes, "You cut them apart, ripped them apart, resealed stuff." She goes, "You had 9 tanks on the go when we had IC. 9." I'm like, right, but that's just tanks. And she goes, "No, but you looked after everyone and had it all written down when to change it." Like, I know it sounds really odd, guys, but anybody here watch Fish of Hex? Does anybody know what I'm talking about? Fish of Hex? Oh, I lost Lisa there. Oh, no, I didn't boot you. The Hangout does that occasionally, Lisa. Just come right back in. It'll let you in. Oh, of course my body's going to fight me today. Yeah, new drugs, folks, suck. Just letting you know, when they change your meds, sucks. Yep, so if you've watched him, the basic idea is, you ever notice he puts the tape up on the quarantine system and writes the dates down? When you do something that you know is important date-wise, and I would never boot Lisa, I think you guys all know that. You know that. I don't have to say that. The trick to it being is it gives you that date and it makes it so it's easier to deal with remembering what you did. You back in here, Lisa? I can see you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's you know what it said? You were removed from this call.
Oh,
And I
son
was
of a
like,
bitch. Yeah.
what?
I would never boot. You know what? You would have to say something awfully mean for me to even think about doing that, right?
No, I don't do that.
Yeah. But I'll tell you, it's funny. So the date thing, where we were just talking about your silicone, put a piece of tape on the front and write the date that you did the silicone and give it
Oh.
7 days. And everyone's like, why 7? Trust me. Because that's going to give you, Custom Aquatics let their tanks cure sometimes for up to 3 months.
I think that would just be appropriate.
Right.
Let it fully cure before even attempting.
Right.
It would
Because
just be-
everybody's nervous about a blowout. Right.
yeah.
And here's the fun part. You guys ready? You ready for Craig's dirty little secret on this 20? So you guys can see the 20 in the video, and you can see the return nozzles up the top. At the base of that return nozzle where the bulkhead is, I cracked that tank. So when I was drilling it, it actually cracked. But it was what's called an internal. So it went right to the top from the top of the hole. But it's not out of the glass. It's internal to the glass itself. So the trick is I put some silicone over it just in case, and not under the bulkhead. So I put the bulkhead up against it, and because that's bracing it, it won't allow that to flex or crack any further or go anywhere else. It can't, right? Glass is glass. It's just like anything else. Once it's at a hole and it's to an edge, it's done. So I just took the chance. It's only a 20. I would never do that with a larger tank. Would never recommend doing that with a larger tank. But a 20 gallon, the actual pressure on the glass is less than 20 pounds. So, you know, it's usually pretty good. Hey, LMZ. So yeah, Lisa, you know, lots of things to do, huh?
Yeah, really. Bless me.
Bless you, yeah.
It's the Canadian allergies.
Oh, no, mine are off today, right? It's just warm enough, the pollen's out, and I'm like, oh.
Well, so yesterday, I don't know if you guys got it, but we got a heck of a lot of ice and snow.
Nope.
Oh, man. I'm telling you, Craig, I walked 2.5 hours in that weather.
Why on earth did you walk 2.5 hours in that?
It's a long story.
Okay, good enough, fair enough.
Yeah, but anyways, I was frozen. My hair was a solid block of ice when I came inside. It was terrible.
You wonder why people think us Canadians are crazy, right?
And, you know, you see other people walking around in it, and if I would have had a choice, man, like, you know, I ain't walking in that.
Nope.
But I had to. So, anyways, that was a true Canadian day yesterday.
It sure was from the sound of it, yeah. Yeah. Well, it's like all of them don't realize, like, I drive my wife to work, right? Okay, big deal, right? Everybody does. Well, it's -1 or -2 out, which is, for some of you folks, that's cold. For us, that's me, t-shirts, pajama bottoms, jump in the car and drive her to work.
Flip-flops.
Yeah.
Flip-flop weather.
Yeah.
Sure.
It's not cold enough for me to worry about. And everyone's like, what if you break down? I got a blanket in the back.
Right?
I'm good. I got this. I got it covered, you know.
Well, yesterday I think it was about -11 with the wind chill.
Yeah. Oh, everybody's smoking this morning.
Yeah.
Give me a sec here. Tim, I'll send you a link. I'm just going to go look for said link. I think I moved. I was trying to find it last night and pissing myself off to no end. Let's see here. Do the old standard search. Nope. So while I'm trying to find this.
So how do you're running a different program now, though, right?
I'm running Streamlabs OBS, or what they call slobs, which is hilarious.
Yeah. Yeah, okay.
But the bigger issue, wow. I don't think you have that many things down in your folders, and then it's like, that's a lot of text files I didn't know I had.
Yeah.
Oh.
I gotta clean out my laptop. It's like so slow these days.
Yep.
It's because of my oldest daughter. She's constantly like putting stuff on the computer, watching things, viruses, whatever. And I'm like, you do realize that these sites that, you know, this link will tell you to go to is most likely a virus. Don't click on them.
Generally so. Yeah.
Right? Unless you know that person who's sending it to you, really. Like mom, dad, Nana, Papa.
Yep.
Yeah.
No, exactly. And they don't. Right? You know, my kid, oh, don't even get me started. At least now he knows better to a degree, but there's still that kind of like, what are you doing? Right? When did you...
Like, give your head a damn shake. That's what I say. I'm like, come on.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, internet safety here, little lady. Kick your butt.
All right. Tim, I'm gonna email. Give me your email. I gotta send it that way. Again, I don't know where the hell my list went, but I know it's on my other computer, and I'm guessing I didn't move it. And I'm just being lazy and have not, because I gotta go buy a switch. Because I gave my wireless card to a family member, and I'm like, why the hell did I do that?
So you need about 4 bags, Craig? That's what you said?
4 bags. Oh, of sand? Yes. Yeah, 20-pound bags. 4 20-pound bags.
Okay.
Yeah. Basically, it's 3, right? So 60 pounds-ish of sand gives me about an inch on the bottom. But I like to have just that little bit more in case I need it for the corner or for something of that
course.
nature. And it's always good to have some sand on backup. So, waiting on Tim to give me his link. It's always fun to get Tim in here. He's got that new 120? Or is it a 100? Can't remember. I love how he said he's waiting. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. There's a whole swarm of people resealing tanks right now and redoing rebuilds and stuff like that.
Welcome to the spring.
Yeah, right?
Don't clean your house. Do your tank.
Do your tank.
Then clean your house because you're going to make a mess anyway.
I actually just did my spring cleaning on my tanks.
Oh.
Although I do want to take out, so in the cichlid tank right now, there's that really fine, like beach sand.
Yes, oolite. Yeah.
I don't like it. I don't.
No.
But I just had a whole bunch of it, so I was like, I may as well use it setting up that tank. And now, like, I find it holds detritus too much, and to get it out, you have to vacuum out sand. So.
Yep, and that's the only way to do it. All right, Tim, remove that yourself. Oh, I got it. Never mind. Oh, so I'm lagging. That's what's going on. Always fun. No, it's you know, you just said something there that kind of always clued me in. It's like, well, I had it. Why don't I just use it? Because you're gonna hate it. That's why I don't.
Yeah.
Right? And, you know,
Right.
I've run into it, so I'm like, no, I'm not doing that anymore.
Well, it's just right. It's convenient at the time, but then you regret it big time.
Yep.
Like I'm a fan of white substrate.
Yep.
And right, like that's I love it.
Well, your OCD is going to go through hell with a reef tank. So.
Well, I have white substrate in my planted tank, in my other tank, in my goldfish tank. Like I clean all my tanks once a week anyways.
Yep.
So if I know when my tank goes through that process of the diatoms and whatever, yes, definitely I'm going to hate it, but from what I've learned is I'm just going to let it kind of do its thing and support it. But as this tank is cycling, I'm not going to run lights either to kind of help it.
Oh, don't run lights at all. Yeah. No, do yourself a favor. Give what you're essentially doing when you start up your tank is creating a biofilm on the rock, right? And the longer you let that run a little bit, the thicker that biofilm and the deeper it gets. And what it helps is to keep the algae off.
Okay.
Right? It helps with that. And allows you to get more settled in. Remember this tank when it was all fuzzy, right? You know, basically looked like it needed a haircut. That was because that biofilm had died when my wife was doing the rock. You know, it happened.
It booted me again.
It's there's nothing I can do about it. It's Google Hangouts. No.
Jeez. Like the other day, did you notice that on YouTube, anybody who was streaming or anything, it was saying video unavailable, and then you'd have to refresh, and it was there. It was driving me bat crazy.
Oh yeah, it was driving everybody crazy. Yeah. So, hey Ryan, what's going on? Falcon Quick, I'm just doing some shout outs here real quick. And LMZ, that was, if you, you know, that's great, man. I'm glad it was just the bulkhead, not the tank. For those that wouldn't know, LMZ has a new deep blue tank. And they come with the threaded or concentric rings on the gasket. And he couldn't get it to stop leaking no matter what he did. And we had a guess it's either a faulty gasket or it was a faulty bulkhead. So the bulkhead itself was actually leaking, and it turns out it was a faulty bulkhead. So there's Tim.
Hey, good morning, everybody.
Good morning, Tim.
Hey, Lisa.
Yeah.
I was just hearing, listen, you like a white substrate, and I like white, nice white sand. So something you might want to consider is what I do. You get yourself a diamond Goby. Now you got to put up with their antics, you know. So, I mean, they'll build stuff, little sandcastles all over the place, and they're
That's
jumpers.
amazing. They're jumpers.
Yeah, so you gotta have a screen on the top. But I've had one since probably the first. I think since my first 65-gallon tank, I had one, and they
No.
just and I have one now, and they just do a terrific job keeping the sand nice and white. And of course, they overturn the sand, and it does some other good
Yeah.
things for the tank too.
It's a
So
fish
they're
that
not
works, that has a job.
they're not
It's a
an
good.
attractive fish at all. They're kind of goofy, but and sometimes they'll make you mad. They'll give you a little snowstorm going on in the tank, but when people come over to see the tank, they go, "Man, your sand is so white." I go, "Yes, because of that little ugly guy right there." And so I always like to have one of those in the tank. So
That's awesome. I like the idea of having fish that have a job.
Yes.
You
yeah,
know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we preach that a lot on here. That you should have a fish with a job. So, like, we love our clowns. Don't get me wrong. Well, I say I love my clowns. You know
You
what I
do
mean?
love your
I do love my
clowns.
clowns, but the thing is, they have no other job, right?
They're just pretty.
Their job is just to piss you off, Greg.
Yeah.
Yeah. So everyone's really quiet again. I love that. I'll see what I can do about that. Tell me if it's too loud or starts clipping, guys, in chat. So gain a little bit and turn everybody up about that much. There. All right. So, Tim, you gotta mute yourself when you're doing work like that, there, bud. Just because I gotta turn everybody up.
Okay, hang on. I'm sorry.
There we go.
I'm doing a little project for my wife. Eventually, I'm going to get around to doing this ATO.
Yeah,
So
well,
my
you gotta prioritize, buddy. ATO first. Come on now. Right.
Well, you know, it's a compromise on this thing. You know, it's just like yesterday we went out driving around doing a couple things that the other part wants to do, and I said, well, I got to stop by the LFS. And she says, what for? You're not going to buy anything? I said, no. I need to ask him something. Remember I told you about that purple Blenny I had, who's just a mean little shit, and I bought it from the store, and I just popped in there. I said, hey, you know, I got that Blenny from you. What do you think about taking him back? Give me some credit, store credit. And he goes, yes. But then while we're there, my wife finds a plate coral that she likes. And I go, she says, that's nice. Can we get that? I go, okay, let's go. Yeah, sure. So see, you got to, I mean, I wasn't crazy about it, but it's not a bad looking coral. It's a gold plate coral. Kind of looks like a torch type deal. But anyway.
Long tentacle plate.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, it's pretty nice. So I mean, yeah, you gotta let her. You gotta give and take with this, and so there you go. Anyway, let me mute myself here in a second so I get this little project done for her garden. And hang on.
No, cool. Just in between, buddy. Just in between. We don't want to hear the staple gun. That's all. Quito. Hey guys, quito. Yeah, no, you know. No, so, and let me know, guys, at the levels, and I do appreciate that, Ryan, because I can't hear the end result. So, they sound great to me, but they may not sound great to you. So, I had it on last night, and it was clipping out a few people. So, if you hear Lisa talking and every other word's cutting away or something, let me know that as well, and I'll see what I can do. But I don't have a noise gate on. I just turned the gain up. So there we go. So, yeah, you know, fish with a job always helps, right? I am debating a diamond spot goby or diamondback goby, but they are kind of jerky. Yeah.
Well, that's, you know, like, it's like, I do love fish with personality.
Oh, yeah.
And I have this one fish upstairs, and he just terrorizes my planted tank. Like, all the other fish in there, he terrorizes them.
Yeah.
And I ended up having to take him and put him in the cichlid tank to get a run for his money because they're more aggressive, right? So I actually did. I put him in with more aggressive species, and they chased him around and did the exact same thing that he was doing to the other fish. And when I put him back into the other tank, he's fine. He's calmed down.
Well, you know what? It wasn't even that you did that. That was probably part of it, but it's just you took him out of the environment, and when you put them back, they tend to usually come around. A lot of time out, right? For lack of a better term,
Yeah,
right?
that's
Put him in the
exactly
sun.
what I
Put
did.
him
It was a
somewhere.
time
Yeah.
out.
Yeah.
Yeah, time out. Yeah, because he was actually, so I have this one gold barb, and it doesn't even look like it's a an actual barb.
Yep.
It's so fat. But anyways, he's like deformed because of how fat he is. He actually, that one shark guy, was nibbling away at his scales, fighting with him.
Right.
So he had like this big sore on his side. And when I had taken him out, the sore healed up and everything was fine. But now he's like scarred near his scales, which is, at least he healed. I kind of helped him along in that process as well with adding some aquarium salts and stuff like that, just to help his slime coat and whatever. And but yeah, that shark now doesn't bug nobody.
Yeah, I have a problem now. For some reason, there's no peace in my 120. So I've got and some have seen the video, and I am going to use it in a video of my blue tang eating all the antenna off my cleaner shrimp.
Oh my God, you were telling me that.
Which
That's
is
terrible.
like, really? And nobody I know, for the most part, has seen that with the tang. So, okay, great. He's doing it, but he's sort of mellowed out now. But now my starry blenny, Mr. Grumpy, is now attacking my foxface rabbitfish on a regular basis and biting him in the sides. So I may actually get a trap, like I did before, because I know he'll go in it, because he was in it before. Yeah. Trap him, and I'm going to put him in the sump and give him a timeout, because I just can't have that kind of stress in the tank. The tank's in a really good spot, and I want to keep it there. I don't need.
No, I don't. I do it, Craig. Like, honestly, and it's like it resets the ranking order. I find, anyways, like, because you always have that one real dominant one in the tank, right?
Yes. Yeah. Well, you're always going to have a tank boss, right? And Mr. Fox used to be the tank boss, but
I'm not gonna get tangs, even if I go up to a larger tank. I don't think so. All I hear is horror stories about tangs and.
LMZ to the Randall Goby with a jawfish or that. Yeah, I mean, your mileage is going to vary. You could put them in; they're model citizens to each other. Similar species are always going to be kind of a crapshoot. I have an orchid dotty back in my tank that's just a thug. So,
I really want a jawfish as well. Like, that's like one of the blue spotted jawfish.
The diamond may have a harder time because he's not going to be much of a hider, because he's going to want to be out. The jawfish you might have a little better luck with, because he'll tend to want to be in underneath the rock and hiding. So just that's my opinion thing. But you could put either one in and it goes perfect. You could put either one in and it goes all to hell. Sorry about that. It's 50-50 when it comes to fish.
Craig,
Go ahead.
I have a question. Okay, so when you're adding substrate, right?
Yep.
Okay, so with your rock aquascape, do you want the rock basically in first before you add the sand?
It's better if you do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Actually, and a really good tip is to, when you do your rockscape, right, especially if you're gluing and you're going to get it all in chunks, I like to call it, make sure your bottoms, there's not a lot of sharp points.
Okay.
Right? So what I do is I knock them off, right? So it's almost flat. Yeah. Because I have actually seen it where a guy's rock was 4 points sticking on the glass. And I'm like, that's probably not a great idea, right? Yeah. And I said I would take your hacksaw and flatten that off as much as possible. I got a little hand one, and it goes really easy with the Marco rock, especially, right? Pucani's not too bad either.
We have an air compressor here with all the air tools.
Yep.
So I have like grinders and all sorts of tools that are so easy because I just switch the heads, right? Yeah.
Yep. And do yourself a favor, watch out with chisels. Be gentle, do small parts. Don't try to do, if you're going to make a cave, we call it. Because my wife has no patience, and she's there with the chisel, just bang, bang, and wondering why the rock split in half, right? I'm like, well, I could tell you why, hon. And she's like, well, you did one and it was like perfect. And it's an older tank I did, right? And I did a tunnel right through the whole thing, right? And I said, yeah, and it took me an hour and a half, as you recall.
Yeah.
You just tried to do it in 30 seconds, so.
I'll have to use my husband, he has these really old chisels, and then he has the newer, cheaper chisels, so I'll use the cheaper ones.
Yeah, and just tap away. Tap, 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 tap. When you get to what we call a solid, just keep tapping away, chipping it away. Don't try to go through it. Because the minute you go through it, you cause pressure in a split, right? So that's how you split rock. That's what she did. So instead of chipping away at it until she could see light and then chip through that again, she just tried to plow her way through it and broke the rock in half.
You know, that would be a good video, a time lapse video. Of like chipping away at rock.
Oh, Ryan, you're talking about from Live Aquaria? And if you are, then I am curious too. Can't wait. You have to let me know how it goes, because I've heard hit and miss on Live Aquaria with coral shipments. So I'm sure it'll be fine.
All you guys are trying different stores these days from ordering.
Well, Live Aquaria is a huge one. We don't have access to it here, right? Me and you, we're in Canada, right?
No, like even Pat ordered from I forget the name of the place, but it was really disappointing. And then Dave ordered from this other place, but it was phenomenal.
Oh, the macro algae that he ordered. Yeah.
But no. Pat got like red-footed snails and like a different bunch of different little fish and stuff and different snails, and basically all of them have died. So terrible. The one kind of snail arrived dead. So
right.
It was just really disappointing to see. Like, you know, you spend all this money on this stuff for it to arrive dead is pretty brutal. And it was like shipped immediately. So there should be no, like, they weren't even in the bag that long.
No. And that was Dave that had to, or Pat?
Pat.
That was Pat that happened to, because all Dave's snails made it, as I recall. So
Dave's, his is awesome. Like how they packaged it, the amount of algae like that they gave him. Yep. I keep trying to say algae. They got the UKers got me saying algae.
Oh, they got everybody doing it. Yeah, no kidding.
Right?
Yeah.
I got algae.
Got something.
Blue Zoo Aquatics.
I find myself speaking all sorts of different things, calling people bellends.
Oh yeah, no, I think that was Mike Aaron's whole goal, was to get everybody in North America saying bellend. I swear.
I still can't admit that I don't know what the hell you're talking about when you say bellend. I get the you know what we're getting at. I'm going, what did they I don't know. So I even thought of Googling it just to see what.
It's just the tip, buddy. The tip.
Mel said Blue Zoo Aquatics. That's who Pat ordered from, and Mel has actually ordered from them in the past, and it was amazing.
Yeah, I think it's, you know what, to sit down, and we were talking about that last night, actually. And more to the point of when somebody does something, then they'll come on, they're like, don't do this, blah, 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 I did that, and I nuked my tank. And it's like, but what else was going on? And they never say that. They just come in, whatever the product is, and say it destroyed their tank. But you're not giving us any more. You're just so pissed off, for lack of a better term, that you...
Yeah, it was it's a video. Watch it.
Oh, no. I'm talking about just in general, though, Lisa.
Oh.
Right? People come in like Ruby Reef and then nuked my tank. Okay. Right?
Okay.
You know, that kind of thing. Like, we get what you're saying. But at the same token there, sir or ma'am, you know, what was going on in your tank in the first place, right? And it's one of those things. We're not saying don't or do, and that's why sometimes it seems a little cryptic when any of us will give you advice and it's if with a but or but with an if, you know what I mean? Like, it's because we don't want to tell you there's no magic bullets in this hobby, right? Everyone thinks there is. So go ahead.
Who do you order from that you've had good experience with in Canada?
I haven't had a good experience with any of them. All of them have been hit and miss within the same order because corals are sensitive in their own way. I've ordered from Canada Corals. I've ordered from Incredible Aquariums. I've ordered from, I forget what the name of the other one is. Now, I order from Pets and Ponds my last time out. Chances are won't again. They were good, but they weren't. They were very, very helpful. They tried their best, but it just seemed like you really sent me a pump that was already opened and was missing parts.
Oh, jeez.
Right? Like, no. You know, that's not cool.
No.
Somebody should have checked that, right? I get you're bigger, but somebody should have checked that.
Definitely. There should be some kind of like, as they're per packaging, control, right? Customer service. Yeah, that's you want it. You want a good name with your company, and some of these companies don't realize that word of mouth is everything. So
Like
if you're going to ship off something with missing pieces,
right,
you better know that other people are going to find that out.
Exactly.
Like, it's brutal.
Like it's happened with Ray, right? And it only happened once, and I should have said something right away, and I didn't because I didn't really think about it.
Yeah.
That it was used, that somebody had bought it, didn't like it, and I got it because it was broken, but I never noticed.
Yeah.
And it was a Comline 9001, right, Tunzi skimmer. And when I took the cup off one day, I just noticed that the back of the cup, the edge, the lip was broken. So it wasn't completely sealing, which was again letting microbubbles out into my tank, right?
Yeah.
Before we realized that was a good thing, but then again, I don't want that in my tank. That's microbubbles coated in proteins now, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, so I'm trying to keep an eye on the pet order from Blue Zoo. Around you, want some Dragon's Breath? That's hard to get over there, apparently. Yeah, you're right, bees. Seems we look at the draw that, so okay, I'm not missing anything. I just want to make sure I'm keeping up with it.
No, you're good. Are you going to Reef Expo in Mississauga?
No, I can't get up to that one. Me and the wife are actually trying to save up now and go to MACNA.
Oh, okay.
Right, and I don't want to, and I want to. I think I just want to go hang with everybody.
Yeah.
Because the people that I want to meet. But we're talking about a $1,500 trip.
Yeah. Not cheap by any means.
Right. Plus, we both got to renew our passports, so that's $100 a piece, right?
Yeah.
Come to MACNA, Craig. I'm going to MACNA.
Everybody wants me to go to MACNA, and I'm like, why? I'm nobody. And somebody said, yeah, but you with your shirt, you'd be sitting there changing shirts and yelling like an idiot. I'm like, yeah. By the end of that day, I'll be running around naked, screaming "not there" with naked beekeeper's disease, right? But I'd have a hell of a lot of fun, because I really, really, really want to do the video with the guys where we take Seymour reefing with O, and leave him in the desert. So, yeah. With a
I'm going to MACNA. It's because I wanted to go in the past, but as soon as they said it was going to be Vegas, well, I live in El Paso. I was out as West Texas as you can get. Actually, I should be part of New Mexico, but so it's not a far trip either driving or flying for me. So I was like, I bought the tickets. The next day I said, we're going to MACNA. I told my wife, we're going to MACNA this year. She said, what? And I said, we're going to MACNA. She said, where is it? Vegas? My wife has never been to Vegas either. So, I'm looking forward to that. Looking forward to before it was like, just going to MACNA itself and all that. But now it's like I want to meet a lot of the people that I've been talking to and having conversations with. So.
Yeah, exactly. Like what are you doing, Mr. Rat?
Yeah, I would love to come to MACNA too.
Well, we have so little here. We have mostly in Canada. It's like frag swaps, right? And you go to these, and it's like, it's almost, who are you? Yeah, really? I'm here to buy a coral from you. What's it matter who I am, buddy? Blah, blah.
So
right?
This is the first year that Reef Expo is going to be doing this.
Mm-hmm.
And they said if it's a good turnout that they'll continue doing it. So
they should, yeah.
I hope it turns out to be something just phenomenal, right? Because Canada truly needs it.
We do. Yeah, Montreal, I think Ray tried years ago. So that's reefsupplies.ca.
Yeah.
Dirty little secret. I don't know if you knew this or heard me mention it there, Mel, but Dev from Reef Dudes, he used to do videos for Reef Supplies. Product profiles. Yeah.
Melanie. Mel, you make it so tempting. It's just all money. If I could get the money together, I'm coming.
Yeah. Be cheaper for you, too, because you'd be coming out of, like, Toronto.
Toronto, yeah.
But, yeah, you tried out Toronto. You got to say it right. Toronto. Right. I used to live in, or T.O., right? Oh, I'm just too fancy to say Toronto. I'm going to say T.O. Right? Like, the hell, right? Yeah, but I lived there. I told you I lived in Toronto, right?
I hate Toronto.
Toronto was
there too.
It was in North York, to be exact, or Downsview. They call it now. Downsview Airfield is where we were, right?
I live right near like Etobicoke area. I freaking hated it with a passion.
And keep myself. There we go. Sorry. No, and that's just it. People don't understand how big Toronto is, right? It's like, you know, we're talking New York size, guys. It's huge now because
Yeah.
it takes in Markham and Barrie, and all of it is really the Greater Toronto area to GTA is huge.
It's massive.
Hey, Jeff.
Yeah.
But you come to St. John, and what's really funny, and I tried to tell everybody this, is like the population of New Brunswick alone is what Toronto is, right? Like, you know, Toronto itself, that's how big it is, right? The whole province here, state for those in the States, is literally the population of Toronto. And actually, there's more people, I think, in Toronto. It's almost 3 million people now.
It's Craig, like I was there not too long ago. Okay. You can't even move.
Yeah.
You can't move. And it's so and you get every kind that there's out there. Okay. And like, it's scary. I had taken my daughter to a concert, and I was I had the 2 younger girls with me, and it was I was the only adult, and I was terrified because of it was getting dark and all sorts come out, and there's never an empty sidewalk. There's always hundreds of people everywhere. It was nerve-wracking. I'll never do it again. She's actually going to another concert in May, and I have my best friend taking her.
Oh, there you go.
My nerves were shot. I'm like, I can't do this.
Yep. No, I don't blame you, right? You know, it's Canada's a different, it's like Vancouver. I've been in Vancouver too, right? And I mean, yeah, it was kind of cool that, geez, I saw these famous people, because Vancouver's just full of them. Right,
Yeah.
and everyone's like, "What do you mean?" Oh, well, all those movies that are coming out of Canada, most of them are coming out of Vancouver.
Yeah, because it's always so nice there.
Yeah, and because like that's where my buddy Mike Fields lives. That's the one who's doing Deadpool. He did Deadpool. Now he just finished rap on Deadpool 2. He's the one
I
who was,
love Deadpool.
and he was doing Ryan Reynolds makeup, right, for the
no way.
prosthetics. That's what he does. Yeah, I got pictures and everything. I'm showing people. Yeah, I love that guy. I miss him greatly. We had a common best friend.
Yeah.
And he passed away on Christmas Day,
Oh.
2011. Yeah. And oh yeah, that was a heavy duty trip. He had come down for a visit. None of us had seen him in, had to be, I hadn't seen John in probably 20 years. Right.
Wow.
And I was going to go see him on Boxing Day. And unfortunately, he passed away in his sleep on Christmas Eve. So,
Wow.
yeah, that was a pretty heavy time for all of us, because he was the first one of that kind of group that we all knew each other, and he was the first one.
Yeah.
You know, it's out of control diabetes in the heart. You know, hey, sounds familiar, Craig. You know,
and that when you stick your hand in that tank, it makes me nervous.
Oh, everybody says that, right? Like I watch, I do clean my hands really well. I look after myself and I pay attention, right? I'm not going to be foolish about it. I know better. Although my clowns don't seem to care, and biting me is just a thing.
But yeah, but as long as they're not breaking skin.
Oh, they have.
Like,
oh yeah, they have. Yeah, they've nipped me good here and there, but usually they don't. They're getting better, actually. In all honesty, they swim around my hand, but they don't necessarily attack me too much anymore.
Well, that's good.
You know, that's always fun. So, but yeah. So
Hey, Chris.
yo, go ahead, Tim.
Hey, did you see Steve Rotter's video yesterday
on the algae?
Have you seen it all? Yeah, he got it cleared up. You know, he used the food grade 35%.
Yeah. So.
But he cleared it up, and the other thing is the MRSA, he feels a lot better. It was nice to have him.
Oh, I'm happy that he has thus far. Yeah.
He wasn't depressed and all that stuff. So I was like, but anyway, I don't. You know, he was like, he's just so funny. He said, of course, he did nuke the green hair algae with the peroxide, but I think in the beginning, it's gonna. He was putting in with a syringe, and some of it, gets out into the.
Oh, it sure does. It goes right out in the water.
So his corals were kind of looking mad for a couple of days, but he said they finally started coming around. So, but then he was like, and part of the video, he's got these big yellow gloves that go up over his shoulder.
Yeah.
And he's talking about, I never put my hands in anymore, and going back through what he went through. Then in the end, he says, okay, it's time to feed these guys.
And what's he do? Puts his fingers in the tank, right?
He puts his fingers in the knuckle. And he said, yeah, I know, I shouldn't be doing I'm going. He said, but I checked my hands. There's no cuts. And I'm going, Steve, you just said you weren't going to do that. And then you did it in the same video.
Well, and him, because he's just gone through that.
You know, yeah.
That's extremely dangerous.
No.
Like, it doesn't, if he could have even an open sore and not even realize that in his nail beds.
I know, I know. But I don't have the heart. I didn't have a heart to say anything. I just told him on the comments. I was just glad. And I really genuinely was, you know. He's just a likable person. And when I watch him, he's just like, I'm always saying, that looks like something stupid that I would do, you know.
You know what's funny is he's showing the tank, and I'm watching the tank, and I'm not an expert by any means on algae, but I got a pretty good grip on it.
Yeah.
And I was having a good laugh because I was looking at it. He's like, oh, and it's all cleared up. And I'm like, it's there. When I'm looking at the rock, right? And it's just like, the minute that you kind of cleared that tank out, Steve, and I'm just going, well, we'll see where it goes. Hopefully it clears up. I wish nothing but the best, but there's one of that. The other shoe is going to drop, and let's see where the tank swings, right?
Yeah. He was spreading he was showing how he was going to get the coraling back on his rocks. Now he did, in all fairness, he never had a whole lot of corals, but that's okay. He was happy with it, you know. He had this, but he did have this tremendous amount of coral and algae on his rocks. I mean, you talk about purple all over his rocks. So, but he liked that, you know. So it's like, I don't know what other people think about him. I said, no, this is what this guy likes. He's doing his tank, and this is how he likes it, you know. This is what he wants. So, you know, we're all a little bit different, you know. We can't all. No. You know, he doesn't have a ton of corals and stuff, but he was just fun, and he's just like an average guy, you know. He's going, and some people would say, well, you know, he's kind of simplistic and stuff. I go, well, hell, I don't know. New people tune in and watch these videos all the time. Maybe they don't know that, you know. Don't shoot him down for that.
Well, no, and you know what? Here's the thing. I would never. You know what? I've talked to Steve on the phone, right? I actually. And that's not no name dropping here, folks. It's just Rotter Tube. So Rotter without the S and Tube, like as in YouTube. And that's his thing. And you know, it's one of those. I loved when I had Ick. He was one of the first ones I bumped into.
Yeah.
And it was kind of funny though that I'm sitting there going, no, okay, no, okay, no. You know what I mean? So it was almost for me. It was nice to get to know him, so to speak, through his videos, and know that he was in the right direction too, because he came around to what I had done as well without me ever talking to him. You know, you just figure it out, and I really want people to. Thanks, Craig. Oh, you're right. Okay, sorry. That stupid new drug for my sugars is just a pain in the ass. So, and I don't even know what it's called, Joronda or whatever.
Januvia?
No, it starts with a J. I'd have to go look it up. I looked it up and I went, okay, that's what it does, and it's used in conjunction with my metformin, so it's my big takedown for the morning.
Yeah.
Apparently. So, but anyway, back to what I was talking. So when I was dealing with that, I really kind of there was a kinship formed, I guess, without ever speaking to him. Excuse me.
Yeah.
And when I actually did finally speak to him, it's like he said, "I'm not aware of you." He goes, "But it's cool that you were aware of me, right?" And I went, "Well, I'm just new. You know, I got a couple of videos up at the time, blah blah blah." And I would love to get him in here, but he doesn't really do this. He does his little live stream,
right.
And he does it through Skype, and he does it the way he wants to do it. So I, would never pressure him to come in and talk to us, right? Because in all honesty, and it's the same thing with Mark Levinson, right? Is I don't want to get these guys in here and they get ganged up on, right? Because there are going to be those who disagree, right? And some people don't know how to disagree politely, for lack of a better term.
Yeah.
You know, it's just I can't wait to rip this guy's a new asshole and see how fast I can make him bleed. You know, it's like, he's probably already heard this anyway. You know, if you're on YouTube and put yourself out there, and my cat's outside the door meowing again because she's an
Mark
idiot.
does. He does a live stream on Saturdays now, and you can. I don't always. I don't watch when I'm watching him. I'm not watching the chat or anything or the comments that are going in the chat. So, but every once in a while he mentions that somebody's making a nasty remark, but he's so nice about it. He smiles and say, "Well, they're gone."
Yeah, he's.
He just gives, so he's. I guess he expects it, but.
There you go, Mel.
But Rotter, back to Steve. Actually the first time I noticed him on videos when his dog died. I don't know if you remember that. He had a dog, and he was, I forget, and I'd had a dog that had died not too long before that too. So I just wrote him a comment, you know, and he wrote me back, you know, and so I just told him I know how he felt. You have a dog, you know, and all this stuff, and so we just had something in common besides the reef tank. And then it's just I just write him anytime I write a comment about his video, he always writes me back and tells me thanks and all that stuff. And I just don't read the other stuff that's in there that people write him.
No, have you read Rodder's book, Bees?
No, the book on Ick? Is that what you said?
Yeah, I think it's his book on Ick. I think it's the one. Hey, Bubba, what's going on, Captain?
And then, you know, you and him probably have a lot in common. You're both guitarists.
Oh, no, we've talked at length.
Okay. Yeah, I know. Cause he does other videos about other things, and I don't watch any of that. And the Joker thing, now he's good. I like to watch the Joker stuff that he does. He's just crazy.
No, and it's we all have a pretty. I think the musician thing makes us a little more thick-skinned too.
Yeah.
You know, like I'm trying to figure out what B's saying. Like, time to add comments. Mark/Rodder Reefer says you're a more. Well, B's, if you want me to correct your grammar on that one, I will. Just saying. Because I think you meant to use the "you are," which would be the you know. Anyway, just saying. Yeah. No. And copper trade. Yes, that's exactly it. And we both came to that at the same time, without knowing it. We never talked to each other, but it was the same thing, that if we really wanted to do it right, you got to follow the tank for so long. And it's, you know, I'm not going to turn this into an Ick discussion today. That's just not what I'm doing, because it seems everybody, you know, Ick is such a prevalent thing, but there's enough info out there to know what you know, what tactic you're going to take. Right.
Yeah, I don't want to talk Ick. I don't want to talk Ick today.
No, Ick is, you know, we'll get at it another time. I'm sure it will always come up, but
I hate it. That's all I need to say.
We all do. You know, go look up what cryptocarian really actually means, guys, and you'll get it. That's the whole thing. I tell everybody. The name says it alone, right?
Yeah.
So yeah. So Lisa dropped out. I'm not sure if just didn't feel included. Is that the problem, Lisa? Okay, that's all right. Oh, you got noise in your background. Gotcha. Well, that's all right. That's fine. So what was Mel? Bubba Shinobi? Hey, Bubba. Oh, okay. No, okay. Totally reversed. Anything going on here? So you got me in here. You got Tim from Tim's Tanks. He's still working on his 100 or 120? 100, right?
Yeah, it's a 100.
100. Yeah. And he keeps putting in his ATO.
It's going in today. The wife is gone. I did what she wanted me to do, so now I'm gonna eat my breakfast, and then I'm gonna put the ATO on it. So
there you go.
It's going in today.
Oh. Went and put your email in again because I'm a bell end. There we go. Up there somewhere. So yeah, it's you'll get to it, man. That's not even a big deal, to be honest.
I know, but I'm lazy. I don't like adding extra water. I don't like being the auto top off.
No, most of us don't at all. I am not a big fan of it, to be honest.
You know, back on Steve again, I talked to him right after. I think you were the first one I talked to online about the 93 break-in. You know, at that time I was really depressed about it. And then he had right after that he had a Friday night. You call in to the show. You know, the way he does it. You call in. And he says, does anybody want to talk about a big tank disaster? And I go, I'll call it.
That's where I heard it. That's the first time I heard it. Yeah, it was on Rodder's. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was like, you know, it was just venting, you know. I just wanted to, it just felt good to talk to him, you know, and talk to somebody about it. And then he met, you know, the whole thing that's later on, I found this true in other situations in my life, you know. He started telling me about Farm Boy's 700-gallon
tank busting out.
I go, why the hell should I feel so bad? Mine was nothing compared to that. You know, I'm like, holy cow.
Oh, his was epic. Yeah, he had an epic blowout. Yeah. You know, when we spend a lot of our time in this hobby, and I joke, but it really is of us going fuck from one end, fuck back, and like. You don't even realize it, because when those catastrophic things happen, I don't give a shit what you have on your tank. You could have an Apex with robotic arms built by whoever doing it, and there's going to come a point where it's just us screaming the F word, getting shit done, because we got to either save it or deal with what's happened, right? I mean, let's face it, guys. I had a feed line for my RODI unit blow the fuck out right over top of the 220 plug for my stove.
I'm not laughing at you. I'm just laughing.
No, it's like, what the hell? And I heard it. I heard the snap. And I'm thinking, what the hell was that? Must be the cats, right? And then I hear the money, oh, honey, we're going to do it. And I'm thinking it's just her with the fish tank again. When I come out to go that way from my office, guess what? Nope. That's what happened, right? And thankfully, presence of mind, she turned off the water at the tap first. I shut the RODI unit down itself, and away we went. And we ended up soaking up every towel in the house.
Yeah.
Or it's like 22 towels or some crazy shit. And having to ring, and that's wringing them out into the buckets, right? So, been there, done that, right?
Yeah, I mean, see, that's the thing about it, Craig. With the advent of YouTube, it's like when things like this happen, I don't have a reefer that lives next door to me. I don't have a reefer, that works with me, So there's nobody else to vent this stuff. Nobody knows how you feel, except the online community, the YouTube community, So you can go on and tell people, and and sometimes I actually got help from a guy that night, a YouTuber who's 915 Man, who came over with the 40-gallon tank. Who else knows? I mean, people can say, oh, that sounds bad. You got 40 gallons of water or 50 gallons of water on the floor.
Yep.
But they don't understand the whole everything that happened. No, I'm having to save fish. I'm having to save corals. I'm having to save, equipment, It doesn't mean anything if you're not a reefer, if you're not really in the hobby. You don't know the extent of the damage that we're talking about, So
no, not at all.
It's kind of therapeutic, I guess sometimes to have people who are similar that can empathize with you, know what you're talking about.
Well, exactly, or even better, cathartic, right?
Yeah.
It just lets you vent your frustration in an environment that everybody else knows what you're talking about.
Exactly.
Versus somebody sitting there going, okay, I hear you, man. Beer? And that's fine, right? If somebody wants to do it that way, that's, my wife gets the hobby but doesn't get my stress over it. Right?
Yeah.
And then but from that end, she doesn't get why I'm so relaxed about like her screaming at the tank going, honey, 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 and it's the starry blennies attacking the fox face, and I'm like, well, what would you have me do?
Exactly. No, we're very much on the same wavelength on that. Your wife and my wife, they're the same thing, Like, Jesus, there's water all over the place. There's water. It's all over the place. It's all over. Well, it's a little leak. So, or he's bothering the fit like look, he's biting the look, he's killing it. No, he's not. Give him a chance to get adjusted and it'll be fine, So yeah, we're the same on that, So.
Yeah, Falcon, you're right. The joy of the first time you see purple Coraline in your tank. What?
Yeah.
I was saying last night, and you'll get this if you look on the screen. You can see the plate right behind it are my sun coral that I just got from my wife, and they were out last night, and I was almost dancing a jig because they had never been out. Why was I excited about this NPS coral that's out? Like what the hell, right? And most people don't get it. Now my wife kind of gets it. You know what I mean? But even she was like, calm down. I'm like, shut up. It's awesome. Right?
Yeah, I mean, just regular everyday people who don't have a
clue what we're talking about, right?
Like, okay, Craig, you back on the drugs or what?
Oh, it's like, or how come I use the F word like a comma around my tanks, right? Because 9 times out of fucking 10, something's gone fucking wrong. You know what I mean? And it's like, or whatever the case. Hey, Jeff, what's going on? Welcome to the Hangout.
What's going on, guys?
Not much, man. Not much. Just kind of, it's my topic of the day was more, if you had to do it over again, would you do it again? And there was a few people in and we discussed it, and I'll kind of keep rolling back on it for the day, but it is one of those weird things, like, look at Tim's 93-gallon tank blew out. I've had a couple of things go wrong that were pretty catastrophic. It's always that, would you do it again? Now, we have, but I know people who got out, and the reason I bring it up is a buddy of mine, his tank crashed last night completely. And I do believe from what he told me, and I said you can double check it, man, but his heater, I think, locked on. because he said his tank
Yeah.
temp was 86. So chances are he just cooked everybody, and that's what happened. So he's out. He's done. So
Well, this one right now that I'm doing is going to be the third reboot that I've done on my tank.
there you go. And you're still doing it, right? And why is it? Why do you keep doing it?
Well, I love it.
There you go. So it is
The
a
first-
love of the hobby, right?
Yeah. The first time was Bryopsis.
Oh, fuck.
I got a frag with, I guess, a little bit of Bryopsis on it. Just completely took over the tank. I tried everything, wouldn't get rid of it. And then this past time was the dinos, which I killed the dinos, but then I also killed everything else in the tank.
Oh, man. Sorry. Yeah, that's the problem with Dino. That's the problem people don't listen to about it, too. Is that it's a toxic substance, and unfortunately, sometimes even with the best measures in place, you know what I mean? Because I'm sure you did it right. You know, I know you're not a slack reefer. Yeah, I think we've taken to calling them lazy reefers.
Yeah. I think now that I have the room to do it, I'm going to start doing a very intensive quarantine process when I get my 120-gallon tank. Just because I'm not going to deal with that stuff anymore.
No, exactly, right? Oh, Lisa's taking up by Mel. Okay. Have a good day, Lisa. See you around. Yeah, may still be here. And Mel, were you talking about who needs to get involved in your hobby? Is your hubby? Your man? Your partner? That's the only thing about trying to read it. Yeah.
Is it Jeff? American Reefing?
Yeah,
Jeff?
American
Yeah.
Reefing's Jeff. Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, did you just do a video something about dinos or something? Or am I thinking of somebody else?
I did one a little while ago, probably probably month ago, a few weeks ago.
Yeah. Okay. Maybe.
No.
Somebody did one. I tell you, somebody else who had. I don't know if you've heard of a YouTuber named Reef Bum, but I think he went through dinos too. A real bad thing.
Oh, yeah, Reef Bum did. Yeah, I've seen his videos. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think everybody's touched on it. I mean, I was nervous when my 120s snapped the way it's going. But I know what I got to do with that. And I literally, this is just pure laziness on my part. But today I'm going to get to it and put some Phosguard in and start knocking the nitrates and the phosphates back a bit. The nitrates aren't that high in that tank. They're only about 45. But if you put that with the phosphates, I'm now feeding whatever that is. So it's kind of, now I got to get to that. And and that's just it. My wife may be in my hobby, Mel, but my wife lets me do all the work. And I don't blame her, because once she got that one shock off moving the heater, I think she's kind of done. So I don't blame her.
My wife hates it.
Yeah, some do. Yeah. And you know what,
I mean,
though?
she'll be like, I'll get a new fish or something, and she'll be like, "Oh, that's cool," but then like she hates the amount of time that I spend on it, and I really don't spend the amount of time that some people spend on it.
I spend more time doing this than I do on my hobby.
Yeah.
And that's where, if there were ever friction, it would be that. And it's not. It's she has little habits that she needs me for, right? She can't get to sleep unless I'm in bed, right? And if I get up, she wakes up. So I can't even let her get to sleep, and then I'll get up and I'll start to stream or whatever. So I made a deal with her that I won't stream late night unless she's good with it, right? So good enough, right? Compromise, right? That's what it's all about if you can do it. And that doesn't always work out, no matter what. But it's definitely one of those kind of situations. It's really hard when the other person doesn't get what you're doing, right? When I was in a band, that was constant, right? It's not even joking.
Hey, back on not to get back on Steve Rotter again, but but the green hair thing, I didn't have the heart to tell. I almost mentioned it to him, but I had a product called Vibrant,
Vibrant Reef. Yep.
I put it in a little quarantine tank I have, I put a light on there, but there's no corals in there or anything, but it just, the green hair, the algae just went crazy on it,
Yep.
And so it's not really a big concern because I'm not using it for anything else but the quarantine tank. And right now I've been keeping some of the fish from the big bust up of the 93. But anyway, so I just been using it kind of like an experiment to see what works on it, and I tried this and that. But I had this Vibrant and I thought that I had tried this before, but I mean, I'm just like, what the heck, I'll try it. And I put it in and it seemed like in about a week, I thought maybe is there less green hair algae there? I go maybe not, but I kept trying it. I heard somebody else talk about it, and so okay, I kept trying it. I put it in a week, and then now all of a sudden, this green hair algae is disappearing. It's like, damn, now I don't know if it works for anything else. I don't know if it's going to work for anybody else, but it worked on this little tank because the green hair algae is almost gone.
Yep.
And so I don't know. I've heard good stuff about it and bad stuff about it. And with
I told him to get a sea hair months ago.
Steve, I don't know if he doesn't have any patience, and I'm laughing because I don't either. But I don't know if he would have enough patience to it. So I just didn't mention. I just didn't say anything to him.
Well, and you know what? Let's be honest here. We're not, and just for anyone else who's listening or whatnot, we're not bad mouthing Rotter Tube. It's more.
No, not at all.
We're living almost vicariously through him, right? Watching him do it.
Exactly.
And it's
Steve's a really cool guy.
Beyond cool. Yeah.
He's like the kind of guy that I want to go out with
Yep.
and have a beer with.
Exactly.
He's and he's a musician. I'm a musician. There would probably be a lot of eye contact with, yeah, just I know there would be, right? There's another one too, guys. When we're talking about that product, and I have not used it. I'm going to be. It's called Algae Marine Fix by API. I
use it.
Yeah, and I'll tell you from what I've been told and what I've seen of this guy's tank up here, and he has nothing but sticks in one tank, and that's what he mostly uses it on. So it's all Acropora, Montipora, it's real sensitive stuff. And he has great success. It doesn't get rid of bubble algae, but it beats it back so well that basically what he ends up doing is going in and popping everything when he doses it so that it kills those spores, right?
Now, I'm going to tell you something, Craig, and again, this is just my experience.
Mm-hmm.
I used that product before, and I cannot say if it did or didn't, but I lost a couple of fish after I put that product in. So now I'm just, just take that for what it's worth,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that it could have been something else I was doing at the time. I don't know, but
no, but it's good info, and exactly that's the trick.
Yeah.
We need to talk about these products, right? Like bees. I wasn't ignoring you. I did catch it. It's just the topic was somewhere else at the moment. But like he was talking about, like using. I don't have a method. Oh no, that's a lie. I have a method I deal with it with. But I am not against people supporting their tank and letting it work its way through. But my tank is small enough that any ick is usually explosive, right? So it isn't just that they got a bit. They wind up looking like Mike Aaron's Achilles tank. Looks white. He's so loaded right now. It almost looks like velvet, but it's not. Right, so he's still just got him. He's still eating. He's still doing everything. So, Mike's method for dealing with it is support the tank, support the fish. It's just some people are going to disagree with that, and that's okay. You can disagree with it. You can deal with it however you want. There's no technically wrong way. That's all there is to it, right? So, does Ruby Reef work? I've read more negative than I have positive, so that's just from what I've read. Do your research. Read up on what that product does, right? And I love how they won't tell you what's in it.
Yeah. Yeah.
If it's so good and it works so well, how come you're not saying what it is so that everybody can get it and do it and get rid of it?
Exactly.
So you're not killing the egg. Oh, yes, we are. Then how are you killing it since the only scientific known way to kill it is copper? Or pesticides, which, that's not going to work. It's the same thing with the quarantining of frags. That's what I think, Jeff, what you were speaking to. Now that you got the room, You want to be able to like take your frags, put them in a tank, let them grow and do their thing in there, and monitor them for 90 days so that if there is anything on them, that's not getting to your display. Is that your idea?
Exactly.
Yeah, you know. And somebody looks at me and goes, "Well, I can't do that." And if you put another frag in there, it resets, and it's like, no, it doesn't. You know what, where it is, right? It's not going to get out and eat anything unless you put a fish in there. So if it's got nothing to eat, and it only feeds on fish, it doesn't matter, right? But if you're going to keep track, it's like I was saying to Lisa earlier, put a piece of tape on, 90 days, right? Put the date down. When the 90 days is up, move your frags out or leave them in there, right? And reset that every time you add a new one. Just reset that tag, right?
I think what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to have like two quarantine tanks basically,
Right.
and get whatever, a few things, put it in the one, wait about 30 days, transfer them to the other quarantine tank, and then I can get new stuff and put it in the first quarantine tank.
Yeah, exactly. Almost like a tank transfer method, right?
Exactly.
Here's Tony.
Hey, are we talking about ick again?
How what did when did I become the ick guy, right? That's I should never have gone into Mike's stream and gone on about ick, because everyone kind of latched onto what I was talking about, right? And I'm like, oh, it's like, okay, you know what? I mean, but if that's what I get known for, I'm okay with that. Because go ahead.
I was going to say, the trick is, play stupid, everybody thinks you're stupid.
Yeah, well, that's just it, right? I'm dumb, right?
Yeah, that's it. I know nothing.
Yeah, I deal with ick, but somebody was talking about freshwater dipping, and I just sort of went, that doesn't do anything.
No.
Right?
I think it's more abrasive for the fish. My personal opinion.
Right, but if they've got flukes, yes, it absolutely works. If they've got certain things, a freshwater dip is perfect. That first stop, the malachite green and then the methylene blue, right? Yep. So you got one bucket with this. Mark Levinson, Malev's Reef, he did a thing on it. You can go look it up.
He swears by it, doesn't he?
And he swears by it, right? So, take that as you will, right? And I think that's not a bad idea for your new fish, but it's watching us all throw these fish into our tanks, knowing they could be carrying this. And
my personal opinion is freshwater dip is for more of surface dwelling pests, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, exactly.
Things that live on the surface, yeah.
Yeah, and the problem with it is that once it's in the fish, it ain't coming out till it wants to come out. Once it's out, that's when you've noticed it, and he's already gone. Right? Yeah. You're just seeing the scar tissue on the fish, so that's where that comes from, right? So
exactly. But I think the freshwater dipping, I think that comes from because we do call it ick. Where really it's not ick, is it? It's cryptocarian.
Cryptocarian irritants.
Totally, yeah, totally different. But I suppose it's easier, isn't it?
Well, what it is if you actually think about it, we say ick, but it's marine ick versus freshwater ick, right? Freshwater ick's a different animal. You can deal with that. My God, my son had it in his tank. We got rid of it in a day. You know what I mean? All we did was turn the heat up to I think it was 88, and we dropped the meds in, and then I ran carbon the next day, and we slowly brought the heat back down, and cleared his tank. He lost one fish, and he looked at it when it was in our tank, and he's like, anyone is welcome to join. Oh, you're talking about your that must be like a forum group or something, Bubba, you're talking about? That's the main reason to go to forums, looking for those deals, looking for those guys who have had it and are chucking it in and picking up. That's how O gets all that equipment. He even said it's all Craigslist and forums.
That's what I do. That's why I'm looking forward to when the summer starts and everyone wants to start enjoying this summer in the pubs, because that's where I'm going to swoop in and get it all.
Yeah, that's where somebody who knows me is going to see that SL2V2 module for the Reef Keeper and go, Craig, I got you one for $20. That's awesome, right?
That's it.
Take 10 off the price. I'm down for that. So, but no, it's like, that whole ideology of if you had to do it over again, would you do it over again, or if not, what would you change? And I think we all know there's something we would change.
Yeah, no system is perfect for that person. No system is perfect. I think on mine would be my pipe work. I should have put more thought into my pipe work, even though it took me 6 weeks to decide how I'm going to do it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But as soon as 5 minutes of setup time, you start to realise, oh no.
What did I forget?
No.
Yeah, or I forgot this. Or yeah.
Why didn't I move that drilled hole an inch over?
Yep. And now you got to deal with it. Or on this 20, the overflow box that I ordered was perfect, except for one thing: it's too deep. Right front to back, it was too deep. So I actually sat here at this desk, listening to someone stream, cutting this with a hacksaw by hand. You know, one of the little handheld ones, and just ever so little, just the whole time, not really listening, but it was background noise, right? And then realized, man, this is taking forever. So I got out my Dremel, and I'm sitting there going, man, if I get too violent with this, it's going to break this, $80 overflow box I bought, right?
Yeah.
So then I locked out. I took my time. I just sat there patiently and did it. And then I sanded it all off and attached it. And now I look at it and go, thank God I did that. Because if I had about the shallower one, it would have been longer, left to right, and I wouldn't have liked that as much, right? So it worked out,
Yeah.
Yeah. I even measured it to make sure that the, what the hell do you call it? The drain gate. You know what I'm talking about? Those little drain gates, that it actually had room for me to get my fingers in and get it on. I had to cut that down too, because I didn't quite account for getting it on. Right, so I cut half of that off, and it just sits there, and that's all it needs to do. I just need to keep a fish from getting sucked down my overflow, right?
Yeah.
If he ever gets up there, but they might. But yeah, it's those little things, right? Go ahead.
It is those little things that do it. They're the little things that you forget about.
Yep. And you will every time. You'll forget every time. Right? It's more to the point of, would you change how you did your rock? Right?
Yeah.
Would you change how you did, the bigger things, right? The little things are always going to be there that you're going to go, fuck, that you forgot them again. Heaters. I totally forgot about heaters.
Yep.
I don't know how the hell I forgot about it, but I forgot about it. But I had enough to back myself up till I could get something that was more capable. And then I totally forgot that if you get a Jaeger, they're huge.
Yeah.
I've got a 20-gallon sump. That's huge. Right, a 150 Jaeger is what? They're 26 inches long?
Yeah.
That barely fits in my first compartment, but it does, right? So I'm going to I want to switch everything over to Cobalt Neotherms anyway. You'll hear me complain and bitch and cry and moan over that anyway. But, it's definitely one of those things that if you're going to go after your gear, go after it. Get it up front. Get as much as you can up front, because then it's there. Even if you don't, it's better to need it and not need to use it, or have it and not need it, than to need it and not have it. It's the old, for all you Americans, it's like a gun. That same idea, right? Hey, good morning, John.
Constitutional right.
Hey, Austin. All right. Tell you what, you guys get to. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I got 21 and counting.
21
guns.
Oh, there you go. All right, you're in. Are you in Texas?
We're coming to live with you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'll feel safe right until you're on meth.
Yeah. Or you get that funny look in your eye.
Yeah. Ooh, he's not happy. So, all right, guys, I need to take 5 minutes away here for a moment. I got to deal with something. I'll be right back. So you guys go ahead and quibble and talk.
I've got to get back to work anyway, so I've only popped on to say hello.
Oh, okay, that's fine, Tony.
I'm in the chat.
That works for me, and everybody else. Feel free to talk here, guys. I don't know. Hot topic, neither hot nor a topic. Go. And John, so how's the tank going today, brother? Looks good, actually. Go. So, I'm going to be gone for a few secs. I'll be right back. Nature's calling.
That's my new frag. It was free. Just say, game. It was free. I went to pay for it, and he's like, "Hey, just don't worry about it."
I'm here. I'm just working on this ATO install.
What kind you got?
I got the Neptune Apex. I actually had it several months, but then everything kind of got put on the back burner when the 93 kind of split open. And so I'm just getting the new tank, the 100-gallon tank. I'm just got it up and running. They got fish in it now. And,
Oh, you're the guy that had the 93 break.
yeah, exactly.
Oh, okay. And what's his name came to help you, right?
Yeah, 915 Mike.
Yep.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, actually, he doesn't know it yet, but I bought him a gift. I'm going to buy him for it. He's got a bunch of Aptasia. And
Oh, yeah.
he's been trying things to get rid of it. And I was watching Mark Melev's review about the laser he got. So I ordered one. I'm going to give it to my friend for helping me out that night. So see if I can help him clear up his Aptasia. So
Yeah.
I mean, it's a pretty good friend when you call like at 8 o'clock in the evening and say, "Hey, I need you here now."
Yeah.
And he comes over. Not only does he come over, but he brings a 40-gallon breeder and all kind of stuff to help me, with the get the fish and the corals and everything out. And then he lends me the tank, and I'm still using it right now for the corals. I still got the corals in there. So.
Yeah.
I owe him big time.
Yeah, it's crazy. I was actually thinking about getting one of those cubes, but I'm probably gonna go more towards a 120.
Yeah, I was going to get the 120, and then, it's like this hobby, like we're talking about, sometimes you have to compromise a little bit. And so I got the 100, the same, it's just not as tall as 120. It's got the depth from front to back that I like. But the wife, she never did like, I think I screwed things up with when I got the cube, because that was really deep. And she could never get her hand anywhere near anything to move anything or do anything. So it always used to tick her off. Well, even myself, I had to get a small little step stool to get in there and move things around. I could never get my hand all the way on the bottom of that. So it's the same size, otherwise dimensioned as the 120. It's just not as tall. It's just a couple inches shorter. But
yeah, I still gotta convince the wife.
Yeah, I know. So, and then there's the other things I compromise, like the tank location and stuff. But it's not where I wanted it. But hey, she supports me in that. She doesn't really do any work on the tank, but she likes the tank and she likes the fish. She likes the corals, and so you gotta give and take a little bit,
Yeah, so I mean, okay. I'd love to put the 120 on the main floor. But I'll probably end up putting it in the basement because it's a finished basement and the back wall is like the perfect dimensions for it.
Okay. Yeah.
We have like two doors that open on like the opposite sides of the wall, and when the door opens, it was like built for it.
Yeah, I know what you mean. We were talking about buying a new house, and it's like you're a reefer when you walk in the house. Like the first thing you're thinking about is where can I put the tank? This is great. I love this house. Why? Because the fish tank would go just great right there.
It was actually really funny. Like one of our I just bought this house like a month ago. And one of our last like walkthroughs, the owners were here, and she cut hair. She cut hair out of the house in the basement. So there's like almost like a salon set up down there.
Oh yeah.
So she has like the sink, like the hair washing sink, whatever. And she goes, I've always wondered what somebody's gonna do with this beautiful sink that I set up here. And she goes, what are you gonna do with it? And I go, use it as a fish slop sink.
Exactly.
She didn't seem very happy with that response. She was like, that's not one of the things I thought somebody would use it for.
Well, yeah, that would be great. That would be really great. But only reefers would think about
Yeah, yeah,
But think about
exactly.
that kind of stuff.
I actually might say it's like almost it looks like because like she put in like a wood floor over there, like where like the hair cutting station was gonna be.
Yeah.
And I was like, it's actually set up like perfect for a small bar area and a pool table.
Oh.
Just the way that like the wood floor is, like the wood floor like cuts into the rug. I got so I'm like, yeah, probably could have put a pool table there.
Yeah.
It was supposed to pour all day today, and it hasn't done anything. I was going to do
Where are you at?
the fertilizer. I'm up in North Jersey, up in Sussex County, Newton. I don't know
I'm
if
in
you
a
know where
totally
Newton
different
is.
climate. Totally different climate from you. I'm in El Paso, Texas, which is like New Mexico weather, So
Yeah. No,
it's
we had probably like low to mid 80s yesterday, and
yeah.
it's 35 today.
Well, we're on the desert basically here. We've had some wacky weather this week. One day it was 90, and the next day it's 60. It's like 40 something degrees at night.
Well, yeah, I was just about to say it like drops really cold at night though, right?
Yeah, you normally get a drop. You can be like 90, and pretty soon we'll hit May, June. You'll hit 90s in the day, and then it can drop down in the 50s real fast at nighttime. But that's pretty. You just get used to that. But I mean, we're not. I don't know. It's just been wacky lately. It's just that 90 that we hit. That's a little bit early for El Paso, to hit a 90. Normally we're in the 80s about now, and so we're usually done with the worst of what we call winter.
It's just starting to warm up where I am. We had one day that was like 54, and you could see people out in t-shirts and shorts. I'm not kidding. That's Canada for you. So, weather.
Oh, it's ridiculous how we had almost a 90-degree day yesterday. Like I literally sunburned because I got some yard work done.
Yeah.
Almost 90 degrees, and it's 35 today.
Yep. Gotta love the flip-flop.
Well, there's a lot of not so nice things about the desert and this part of the country, but I'm telling you, the weather isn't one of them. I can't complain. The worst thing we get is wind sometimes, So
fucking snakes. But anyway, yeah.
Yeah, but I'm not, when you talk about the weather thing, I always get a laugh out of you. I'm like, Jesus Christ, this guy! How can you be happy when it's 45 degrees?
No, it's even lower. Like today is what it was -1. It's about 28 today, and I literally ran my wife up the hill in a pair of pajama pants and a t-shirt. Jeez. And hopped in my car. So, you guys we get used to it, right? You've gotten used to it.
I know.
And we've talked about that at length, right? But in Canada, it almost seems to be like we even look at the Russians and go, pussies.
You don't know.
You guys have no idea what I'm dealing with. They're cold. Now, if you tell me you're from Russia and you live in Siberia, okay, you win, right?
Maybe you get it.
And that's only if you're not talking to a Canadian that lives in northern Quebec or northern, up in the north here, right? Like, you got to remember, most of our population lives right on the border.
Oh.
Within 2 to 3 hours from the border. We don't live up in the Canadian Shield. We do have places that are up there. You know what I mean? Like, the minute you kind of cross halfway up Ontario and Quebec, it starts to get brutally cold. Like, we're talking -45 Celsius cold.
No. So I'm never going to. Hey, I was going to ask you earlier. You were talking to Lisa about Canada and ordering stuff from places. But what is the reefing community like in Canada as a whole? Or in general? Is there a lot of reefers in there?
Oh, there's a ton. Yeah, no, it's more than you think it is. It's more the availability of stuff. Okay, like I'll give you a funny one. So my guy I go to in Fredericton, he can sell me a box of IO for around $70. Okay, 200-gallon box. Now, his buckets, he doesn't bring them in because they're just too bulky for him to deal with.
Yeah.
But if he brought them in, it would be about the same. So, for him, it's like he said, it's not worth it. You get 40 extra gallons, right? if I go to, say, PetSmart, and they have it on sale, it's $50 for a bucket.
Yeah.
Right? So he can't even fathom how they could sell it that cheap. Well, they're a big box store. They brought it in. They're trying to get rid of it. They just sell it off at a loss, man.
Yeah.
Right? And he's like, yeah, you're right. And I said, yeah, you're never going to compete with that. I said, but I'm never going to buy it most of the time because usually it's old as dirt. You look at the date on it and it's 3 years old, right?
Expiration yesterday.
But yeah, so, it's more, and it's really petty. That's the part that got me, was just how bloody petty some people are in this hobby. Like, there's a guy, like, I don't even want to get into length, and, like, you're sitting there going, what the hell is your problem? Like, I know it's just human nature things, whatever, but there's just some of them, it's just like, it's a secret, and I'm not telling you, and it's like, okay, are you going to make money off it? No. Could you help everybody if you gave that information out? Probably. Then why wouldn't you?
Yeah, exactly.
It makes no sense when you're like that to me. None. It's I don't know. I just don't get that part of it. I'll tell you everything I know. If you want to learn how to play guitar, I'll show you everything I know in 5 minutes. Yeah. Although that's a lie, but I will. I'll try to show you everything I know.
There's a G.
Yeah, this is, exactly, right? Every astronaut deserves good blast-off equipment. There's your strings. There you go. So,
No, I can teach you everything I know about guitar in 5 minutes, because I don't know. I know G8. I know it's a basic chord. That's about it.
Yeah, I'll never forget. I had a kid I was teaching, and one of the things I would do is do you want to play lead guitar or just rhythm? And he goes, I want to be a lead guitar player like Joe Satriani.
Oh, really?
Well, that's some work. Right? I said, but sure, right? And I said, okay. So I actually picked out the easiest one to learn pieces of, in my opinion anyway, is Always With You, Always With Me by him. It has some complicated stuff, but there's a lot you can learn and practice that's very easy, because it's like, very easy, right? I said, so before we get into this, you need to understand the 12 notes of the Western scale. Right? And he's like, okay. And I wrote him out, and I showed him on the neck. I did it all, as well as I could. So it's kind of like reefing, that here's these steps. You don't have to necessarily do it this way, but it helps to start. It's a good base, right? And this kid was picking his nose in 5 minutes and realized his parents had dropped him off for me to babysit him. Pretty much, so I was a high-priced babysitter, $15 for 30 minutes. Yeah. But I had one little girl that I was teaching, and she's going to be like one of those ones on YouTube, because she just got it. Right away, yeah. She got it, right? There's a couple other ones, and it's like, and I wish them all the best, right? Like, I even told them, like, what about touring? I said, it sucks. Absolutely sucks. It's horrendous. I said, compared to what it was when I started, right? And like my uncle said, like, it kind of came around. When he started, it was really horrible, and then it came around. So to have that, kind of thing, it's like this hobby. Thankfully, we don't go through these lulls as much, but there are points where there's just nothing new.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm not into the newest thing all the time, right? I want to do things so that my tank actually looks good. Like, that tank, that 20 looks so much better than it did. The sand's basically clean now. The rocks are basically clean now. My parameters are all in check. There's only 20 parts nitrate in there, and phosphates are undetectable on my kit. So I'm going to guess they're still like 0.1 something. But till I can afford the Hanacheck or low phos, I'm not really going to be able to tell. Right? So, but I'm not worried about it. I'll just control it. Reef by design, as Nick likes to say from Aquarium Cabinet Solutions. So.
Look out now. When everything's going right is when everything goes wrong.
You shouldn't have said that. I will now blame you and hate you forever, son. Yeah.
Well, that's what it is. People. Yeah. I think Nick said that, or somebody said that last night. Not.
Oh, it's so true. It's so true. The other shoe drops and everything goes wrong. Yeah.
When I was the 93. I told somebody that maybe it was you. I thought everything was just. I go, yeah, that's what everybody says. As I'm saying it, I'm saying that's what everybody says. But it was. Everything was. Maybe you just don't. Maybe I'm misremembering, as somebody said. But
it just seemed like I just had everything going pretty darn good, you know, and then
yep. Boom, and then it goes wrong. Yep. Geez, we dropped down to 5 people. I shouldn't have went to use the bathroom. Sorry.
No more bathroom.
No more battle. I'm going to have to come up with some shitty Muzak to play in between.
No, you talk about guitar, just to get, since we don't have a subject right now at the moment. But,
sure.
But people who pick up the guitar, now I was in a band, but I was a singer, you know. I at least I thought I could sing. Maybe I could sing. But anyway, and I played a little drums and could do. I was a little bit musically inclined.
Yep.
And later on, I would learn to play a little bit of guitar just to accompany myself. But anyway, in my little town, you know, there's always like, at that time, this is like, we're talking mid 60s, late 60s. And there were some local bands, and there was always like some guy who was the best guitarist in town. And the guy's name doesn't mean anything, but I'm just recalling. His name was Joe Lori. And he even had a twin neck guitar and all this stuff. Everybody thought, ooh, you know, Joe's cool. And he was the best guitarist. Well, I had a friend of mine who would later become the lead guitarist in our band. His name was Noble, and he's unfortunately passed away a couple of years ago. He goes on, in the summertime, he takes a job at the school, helping the janitor doing something in his school. He buys a Fender. What did he buy? I know he bought a Super Reverb amp. I never forget the amp.
Yeah, an old Super Reverb. Okay.
That was at the time that was nice, and his guitar was a Fender. I can't remember, and somebody said, "You don't know about a guitar?" And we're like, "Really?" You know, and nobody sees Noble basically. Now I know I'm going to exaggerate this a little bit, and time has a way of doing that, but it seemed like we didn't see Noble. He goes to work, gets his job, and makes the money, buys the guitar. And he just drops out of sight for like 3 months. But here's where the natural ability comes in. The next time we see Noble, he's like, he never played guitar before.
Yep.
In 3 months' time, this guy is like amazing. I mean, it's just amazing what he did in 3 months. And within a year, you know, he's better than anybody in our little local area county. And this is our lead guitar player. And Noble, after us, you know, we were just a local little band, but he went on. He was down in Nashville, did some studio work, and was doing. He wasn't, you know, like in a big time band, but he was a musician who did very well, and he just had so much natural ability. I just never saw it, and I thought he was good, and I didn't really know how good he was until I left to join the Army, and I would see other people experience. Other guitarists and stuff,
yep.
Just how good he was, you know.
Oh, they're everywhere, right? Steve Vai, he gets asked all the time, who's the best guitarist? He goes, the guy you haven't heard of working in a restaurant.
Exactly.
Right, you don't know, right? There's always somebody out there like, you ever heard of John 5?
I don't think so.
Right, look him up, okay? He plays Telecasters. Of all the guitars in the rock world to play, he plays a Tele, right? And he's mind-blowingly good, right? Another thing, you guys, if you have, yeah, no, that's all right, guys. I'm probably going to cut her down for a bit anyway and just take a break because it's already been 2 hours I've been going, yeah. So, yeah. But the trick is that, you know, just to kind of say it, he always wanted to be there's a show on Netflix, a movie. It's called, oh, wow. Wow, I just forgot the name of it.
Now you sound like me.
Oh, wow. Hold on. Jason Hook. Guy who produced. If I bring a death punch. He did Hired Gun, Out of the Shadows and Into the Spotlight. But it's on Netflix. It's called Hired Gun. And they talk to everybody in the business. That's the side guy. Liberty DeVito from Billy Joel's band. He talks about how they came to be, and you know, John 5 talks about his. And the thing he said, he never wanted to be a rock star. He wanted to be a session guy.
Yeah. Right.
And because of that, that led to him getting a name for himself, and then taking certain jobs, which one was Marilyn Manson, and then taking a job with Rob Zombie.
Oh.
So it like he said, it just let him do what he wants to do, right? And he's an amazing, amazing guitar player. He really is, right? And so is Steve Vai. And Steve Vai talks about working for Frank Zappa. You know, that's where people don't realize where he came from. You know what I mean? So, but no, really, really interesting watch. A little depressing in points because you realize how good these guys are, and they're never going to be that famous. Like, you guys remember, if you remember Ted Nugent, right? Sure. Stranglehold, right? He doesn't sing that. He just plays guitar. Ted Nugent's barely ever sang a song in his life. I think his name's David St. James, is the singer. And he said it was funny. We did a gig one night, and this guy comes up and he goes, I don't know, I'm real sorry to hear that Ted's not feeling all well and wasn't singing, but you did a great job singing that song. And he's the guy on the record. Like, nobody knew who he was because Ted Nugent's the face of that band, right?
Yeah.
So, but all right, guys, I'm going to cut it off for a bit. And
yeah, I got to run and get this ATO done.
Absolutely, get her done, and I'll check around, see who's up later, and then we'll take it from there, man. All right?
Later.
Later, guys.